Have you ever been so betrayed that your brain rewired itself overnight? Like the hurt didn't just fade, it evolved into something else. Something colder. A year ago, she ghosted me after cheating, vanished like I never existed. Moved abroad. New country, new life, new man. Meanwhile, I was left behind, barely breathing. But what she didn't know was that I had one final chapter left to write. And it starts the moment I moved into her building. So here's how it starts. 1 year post-breakup. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a wreck for a long time. You ever love someone so hard that your ribs ache just remembering their voice? That was me. Her name was Clara. She was my person. At least I thought she was. But we'll get to the betrayal later. Trust me, I remember it like a crime scene. Anyway, after months of rot and isolation, I finally started getting back on my feet. I was working remotely, didn't have anything tying me to my hometown anymore. And out of sheer impulse, or maybe something darker, I made the move. Clara had moved to Amsterdam to start fresh. What a poetic way to describe abandoning someone. I didn't track her. Not intentionally. But I knew the neighborhood she moved to. She posted about it before she blocked me on everything. Jordan. Cute canals, little coffee shops, and the kind of cobbled streets Instagram influencers would sell their souls for. I didn't plan it down to the apartment, though. That part was fate. Or karma. Or something sick. Because the unit I landed, tiny one-bedroom walk-up on the second floor, was in the same exact building she lived in. I found out 2 days after I moved in, when I went down to collect my mail and nearly dropped it all right there. Her name, Clara Inn, etched on the mailbox 3 doors down. 3 freaking doors. I'd like to say I laughed, or that I packed up and left, but I didn't. I stood there, heart pounding, gripping a bundle of junk mail like it was a lifeline. I don't know what snapped in my head, but something in me whispered, you're supposed to be here. Not to hurt her. Not even to confront her. Just to see. The days turned into patterns. I didn't stalk her, not exactly. But I started noticing. When she left for work, early, usually around 7:45, hair damp, always with a beige trench coat. When she returned, sometimes alone, sometimes with groceries, once with a man I'd never seen before. I never looked straight at her. I kept distance like a ghost. Like I died, and now I was haunting my own past. I memorized the way she laughed with the girl next door. The way she always paused outside her door, like she was deciding whether to walk in or run. Then came the first note. It wasn't anything threatening. I'm not a psycho. It just said, does he know what you did? I slipped it under her door late one night, shaking the whole time. It was the most impulsive, idiotic thing I've ever done. But the next day, she came out looking rattled, pale, paranoid. I watched from my window as she scanned the hallway like she was expecting someone to jump out. Let me tell you what she did. We'd been together 4 years. Talked marriage. Talked kids. Lived together. One night, she went out with friends. Didn't come home. The next day, I found her phone open on the couch. I wasn't trying to snoop. I was trying to find out if she was alive. But the texts were still open. To some guy named Mark. She called him Sunshine. Said she wished she'd met him sooner. Said she felt free. I confronted her that night. She cried. Lied. Then cried harder. And then? She was gone. Bags packed, room empty, blocked me on everything. Didn't even leave a key. That was the end. Or so I thought. Now here I was, watching her build a new life. Rebrand herself like betrayal wasn't part of her resume. And I didn't know what I wanted anymore. Revenge? Closure? To scream at her? Or to be invisible forever? I didn't know. But I couldn't stop watching. And then came the second coincidence. She dropped a scarf on the stairs. I picked it up, held it like it was something sacred or cursed. Then, instead of returning it, I left it on her doormat, folded neatly. No note. The next day, she looked directly at my door for the first time. Right at me. Through me. Like she could feel something wasn't right. And that's when I knew. She was starting to remember me. Last time, I told you about how I moved into the same building as my ex-girlfriend, a woman who cheated on me, ghosted me, and moved to Amsterdam to start over. She thought she'd escaped. But fate, or maybe something darker, had other plans. I didn't confront her. I didn't even speak to her. I just watched, and then I left her a note. That's when things started unraveling. After the scarf incident, things changed. Clara started locking her door with 2 deadbolts. I could hear the clicks through the wall. She walked faster in the hallway. Always checked behind her when she entered the building. She felt something. Not someone. Something. I became a phantom, there, but never seen. And I fed off it. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't proud of it. But I wasn't stopping either. Then came the second note. This one was crueler. Not threatening, but pointed. Does he know you cried after? I slipped it into her mailbox with gloved hands. And I waited. That evening, I watched from the cracked hallway blinds as she sat frozen in the stairwell, holding the note, just holding it, like she was waiting for the paper to speak. A few days later, I was coming home late, maybe midnight. I was halfway up the stairs when I heard footsteps above me. Soft. Rushed. Clara. I stopped, heart slamming against my ribs. She was coming down. I ducked into the corner near the recycling bins, pitch black. The only thing between us was shadow. She turned the corner and walked right past me. My breath caught in my throat. She was crying and muttering to herself. She said, "This isn't happening again. I'm not crazy. I'm not." I stayed there until I heard the front door slam shut. She said the same thing the night she left me. Back in our apartment, bare mattress, closet half empty, her breath shaking as she zipped up her suitcase. "This isn't happening again," she whispered. Again? I still don't know who the first guy was. But I know I wasn't the first one she ran from. 2 weeks went by. I didn't leave any more notes. I didn't have to. She started doing it to herself. She posted in the building's tenant group. "Has anyone else noticed their mail going missing? Weird scratches on my door frame. Not sure if it's from the wind." She started skipping work. I know because her coffee mug stopped appearing on the windowsill in the mornings. She was spiraling. And the thing is, so was I? I started asking myself what I was doing. Was I really just trying to see how she lived now? Or was I trying to tear it down? There were nights I almost knocked on her door. Nights I stood outside with my hand on the buzzer, not breathing. But then I'd see her silhouette through the peephole, curled up, alone, biting her nails like she used to when she lied. And I'd remember everything. The text messages. The gaslighting. Her telling me I was controlling just for asking where she went at night. I'd remember her leaving me like I was luggage she forgot to check. So I'd walk away. Then came the hallway moment. It was raining. The kind of rain that drenches everything instantly. I'd just come back from the corner market, hoodie drenched, head down. She came out of her apartment at the exact same time. And we locked eyes. 3 doors away. We both froze. I felt time collapse. A year's worth of pain folded into 10 seconds of eye contact. She tilted her head, took a step forward. Her lips parted like she was about to say my name. And then, I turned around and walked back outside into the rain. That night, I left a final message. Slipped under her door. This time in her handwriting. I spent 2 hours practicing it. All it said was, "I forgive you." No signature. No context. Just that. I watched her through the peephole as she picked it up, read it, and broke. She dropped to the floor, hugged her knees, and started sobbing. I thought that would be the end of it. But the next morning, I woke up to my doormat flipped over. A note taped underneath. In handwriting that wasn't mine. "Whoever you are. I know." She signed it. See, last night, she found the note I left under her door. "I forgive you." I thought that was it. The last page of our unwritten chapter. But this morning, my doormat was flipped over. Underneath was a note in her handwriting. It said, "Whoever you are. I know." And it was signed. See, that's when I realized. Clara wasn't afraid anymore. She was curious. I didn't leave my apartment all day. I sat there, watching the hallway through the peephole like a man guarding a confession booth. Every creak of the stairwell made me jump. Every door closing felt like a countdown. And then, around 8 p.m., there was a knock. 3 soft taps. Rhythmic. Not urgent, but deliberate. She was outside my door. My breath stopped. I stared at the doorknob like it might melt. Another knock. I didn't answer. Not because I was scared, but because I didn't know who I was anymore. Was I still the man she broke? Or had I become someone worse? Let me take you back again. The day she left me. She didn't say goodbye. She left a voice memo. Yeah, not a call. Not even a typed-out paragraph. A damn voice memo. She said, "I need something new. I can't keep pretending I'm happy. You love me too much and I can't breathe." She said I was the problem. But here's the truth. Clara had always been halfway out the door. I was just the rug she wiped her feet on. So yeah, I didn't answer the door. But that knock, it didn't go away. The next day, she slid another note under mine. "If it's you, you don't have to hide. Please. I need to talk." No signature this time. Just a pressed flower inside. A lilac. From the same bush we used to sit under in the park. The one she said smelled like what dreams feel like. 2 days passed. Then 3. I finally left my apartment again on day 4. Groceries, fresh air, guilt. I don't know what I was chasing. I was halfway up the stairs, holding a paper bag full of canned soup and oranges. And Clara was sitting on my doormat, hair messy, wearing the hoodie I thought she'd thrown away, the faded blue one I left behind when she moved out. She stood up, startled. I froze. For a full 10 seconds, we just stared at each other. Then she said, "I knew it was you." Not angry, not scared, just sad. "Clara, why are you here?" "Me. I live here." "Clara, you knew I was here." "Me. Not at first." Silence. "Clara, are you here to punish me?" I didn't answer. She nodded like she expected that. "Clara, I deserved it." "I know I did. But I didn't think you'd haunt me." That one cut. Because I hadn't meant to become a ghost. But somewhere along the way, that's exactly what I turned into. Then she hit me with something I wasn't ready for. "Clara, I left because I was pregnant." I just stood there, blinking. "Clara, it wasn't yours." And I couldn't face what I did. She looked down at the floor like it might swallow her whole. "Clara," whispering, "I had a miscarriage 2 months after I got here." He left. I lost everything. I couldn't speak. She said she ghosted me not just out of guilt, but because she didn't know how to ask for forgiveness she didn't think she deserved. And suddenly, I wasn't angry anymore. Just empty. There are stories we tell ourselves to survive. Like, I'm the victim. Or, they ruined me. But sometimes, the real story is messy. Maybe she was a monster. Or maybe she was just broken. Like I was. And maybe, we weren't made to last. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I didn't ask why she did it. I just handed her the grocery bag. Said, "There's soup in there. For the cold nights." Then I turned, walked into my apartment, and closed the door. Not as revenge. Not as closure. Just as an ending. But endings are rarely that clean. Because the next day, I got a letter in my mailbox. No envelope. Just a page torn from one of my old journals. And on it was written, "I still remember the way you looked at me the night before you found out. And I wish I could go back." She remembered the journal. She still had the key to the lockbox I thought I lost years ago. Which means she's been watching me too. Last time, I thought I had the upper hand. I watched. I waited. I haunted. I left notes. I stayed silent. And it worked until Clara knocked on my door. Until she confessed the thing that cracked both of us open. She was pregnant when she left. And it wasn't mine. But now? Now I find my old journal page in my mailbox. In her handwriting. Clara's not scared anymore. She's starting to play back. I stood in the hallway, rereading the torn journal page again and again. She had the key. The lockbox I kept under our bed, back when we had a bed, was always something sacred to me. I thought I lost the key in the move after she left. Turns out, she took it. And now she had access to every page I'd ever written about her. Our first kiss in the rain. The time I thought she was the one because she cried watching a commercial about lost dogs. Even the entries after I found out about the cheating, raw, ugly, unforgiving. She had all of it. Which meant the game was over. We weren't playing cat and mouse anymore. We were just exposed. It was 2:13 a.m. when I heard the knock. Not at the door. At the window. My heart nearly blew out of my chest. I live on the 2nd floor. But there she was, Clara, standing on the fire escape, rain dripping off her hood, palms against the glass. I opened the window without thinking. She climbed inside, soaking, shivering, trembling with adrenaline. "Clara, I want you to see it." "Me? See what?" "Clara, what you've become." She paced, started speaking faster, the words pouring out like flood water behind a broken dam. "Clara, you've been watching me, leaving notes, whispering through the walls. And I let it happen, because I owed you. But then I realized something. You're not watching me anymore. You're watching the version of me you remember." She pointed at the journal page in my hand. Clara, voice shaking. "That girl in your writing? She doesn't exist. She never did. And the version of you I remembered, the soft, steady man who held me when I was breaking, he's gone too. We're both ghosts now. The night I found out about Mark, the guy she left me for, I remember lying in the bathtub fully clothed, water rising around me, phone in one hand, her last text in the other. It said, "I'm sorry, but he sees me." Funny. That's what she said to me the night we met. "You look at me like you see me." Turns out, no one really did. Not her. Not me. Me quietly. So what do we do now? Clara. We burn it. She walked to my bookshelf, pulled down the rest of the journal. Pages fluttered loose like dying leaves. She tossed the whole thing into the sink, grabbed a lighter from her coat, and looked at me like she needed permission. I gave it. The flame flickered, then roared. Smoke curled up and out the open window as years of memory turned to ash. She didn't cry. Neither did I. She stayed until dawn. We didn't talk. She curled up on the floor in my hoodie and fell asleep like it was 10 years ago, and we were just two broke kids dreaming about building a life. I sat at the window the entire night, staring down at the street. Not thinking. Not planning. Just feeling the silence between us. At 6:04 a.m., she stood, kissed my forehead, and said, "This was goodbye. For real this time." And then she left. I thought that was it. But that evening, I opened my mailbox. Inside was a note, wrapped around the skeleton key from the lockbox. It said, "You wanted to be seen. Now you are. Now stop watching and start living." That was 2 months ago. I haven't seen her since. The apartment next to hers? It's empty now. She moved out. No forwarding address. No goodbye note. Just silence. I started writing again, but not about her. About me. Who I am now. Who I might become if I stop feeding ghosts. She's gone. 2 months since Clara vanished again, this time without betrayal, without drama. Just a note in my mailbox. You wanted to be seen. Now you are. Now stop watching and start living. But there's one thing she never told me. One final secret that didn't come from her at all. It came from the woman in 2B, the neighbor I never noticed. Until she knocked on my door. It was a Sunday morning. I was half asleep, feeding my cat, when I heard it. A polite knock. Soft. Rhythmic. Déjà vu. I opened the door, expecting maybe a package, a notice, something dull. But there she was. Middle-aged. Salt and pepper braid. Oversized sweater and a face like she'd seen 1,000 things and kept every one of them to herself. Her. "Hi. I'm Evelyn. 2B. Me. Hey. Everything okay?" She gave me this look, half smile, half pity. "Evelyn, can we talk?" We sat at my little kitchen table. She declined the tea but accepted a ginger biscuit I didn't even know I had in the cupboard. She didn't beat around the bush. "Evelyn, I know what happened. Not all the details, but enough. You were watching her. And then, she started watching you. Neither of you noticed the walls in this place are paper thin." I blinked. "Evelyn," gently. She'd pace at night. Talk to herself. Say your name. "And you?" You muttered in your sleep. "Always hers. Always Clara." I opened my mouth to object. She held up a hand. "Evelyn, I'm not judging. I've been here 22 years. You're not the first pair of ghosts this building's had." Then Evelyn pulled something out of her coat. A folded piece of paper. Old. Creased. She slid it across the table. "Evelyn, she asked me to give this to you. But only if I thought you'd stop being haunted." My hand shook as I unfolded it. It was a drawing. Of me. From the fire escape window. Sitting at my desk. Lit only by the glow of my laptop. Below it, in Clara's handwriting. "I never stopped seeing you. I just stopped believing I deserved to." And below that. "I hope someday you understand that I loved you. Even when I left. Especially then." Suddenly, I saw it. Like my memory rewrote itself. The night she packed her bags. I thought she left without a word. But there was a note on the fridge. One I never read. Because I never looked. It probably said everything I'd spent a year trying to hear. I asked Evelyn why she kept the note. She shrugged. "Evelyn, because sometimes people don't need more pain. Sometimes they need space." But when she moved out, she said, "If he ever becomes still again, give it to him. And you, sweetheart, finally seem still." She stood, dusted off crumbs, and walked to the door. Evelyn, smiling. "And next time, maybe try talking instead of haunting. It's less poetic, but far less exhausting." That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, I've started opening the windows again. Letting in light. Letting go. I left a note at Clara's old door, not to chase, not to guilt. Just. I saw the drawing. I saw everything. Thank you. Then I slipped my old house key inside. The same one she took a year ago. Just in case she ever needs a place to be still, too. This isn't a story about revenge. Not really. It's about how grief can twist into obsession. How silence can scream louder than any words. How do people can destroy each other and still love the ruins. And how sometimes the person watching you the whole time isn't your ex. It's you. That's the end of the story. But if you've ever been haunted by a past love, ask yourself, are you watching them? Or are you just afraid to look in the mirror?